My voice you shall hear in the morning, O Lord. In the morning I will direct it to you, and I will look up. My name's Arthur. Thank you for joining me as we turn to Psalm 5. This is a psalm of David with flutes. And as he begins the day, he turns his heart to the Lord, and he sets the course for the day. In this psalm we consider the two possible courses that are available to him: the pleasure of wickedness or the commitment to righteousness. There is the orientation towards God or the orientation away from God. David has chosen to walk with his God, and so each morning as he gets up, he turns his thoughts to the God whom he will serve, the God he acknowledges as my King and my God. David, for most of his life, was king of the nation. He was answerable to nobody on earth, but he was answerable to God in heaven, and he acknowledged God as his king. Let's read together the psalm and meditate on it. Give ear to my words, O Lord. Consider my meditation. Give heed to the voice of my cry, my King and my God, for to you I will pray. My voice you shall hear in the morning, O Lord. In the morning I will direct it to you, and I will look up. For you are not a God who takes pleasure in wickedness, nor shall evil dwell with you. The boastful shall not stand in your sight. You hate all workers of iniquity. You shall destroy those who speak falsehood. The Lord abhors the bloodthirsty and deceitful man. But as for me, I will come into your house in the multitude of your mercy. In fear of you I will worship toward your holy temple. Lead me, O Lord, in your righteousness, because of my enemies. Make your way straight before my face. For there is no faithfulness in their mouth. Their inward part is destruction. Their throat is an open tomb. They flatter with their tongue. Pronounce them guilty, O God. Let them fall by their own counsels. Cast them out in the multitude of their transgressions, for they have rebelled against you. But let all those rejoice who put their trust in you. Let them ever shout for joy, because you defend them. Let those also who love your name be joyful in you. For you, O Lord, will bless the righteous. With favour you shall surround him as with a shield. And may the Lord bless these words to us. Imagine David sitting on his throne. Many people come before him, and he looks and he sees the attitude of these people. And he knows, because of the intelligence that he has about them, the kind of life that they live. So he finds some people come to him, they live humble lives, and they're trusting in him to help them resolve the difficulties in life. And he joys to help them. But then he finds other people who come before him whose life is evil, but who come and pretend to be worthy before him. And he has no patience with such people. Well, he recognizes that God is the same. God is the King in heaven. And he comes before his God, his King, in the way that his humble subjects come before him. He doesn't come as the proud and boastful evildoer, the deceitful man. He comes as one who is dependent. Let's just look at these words a little bit more closely. Give ear to my words, O Lord. Consider my meditation. Give heed to the voice of my cry, my King and my God, for to you I will pray. My voice you shall hear in the morning, O Lord. In the morning I will direct it to you, and I will look up. He's not trusting in himself. He is trusting in his God. He is not trusting in some other God. To you I will pray. And we need to be wholehearted in our commitment to God. Not just acknowledging God, but relying on ourselves. No, acknowledging God and relying on God. And so at the beginning of the day, that's the way David sets his course. He says, For you are not a God who takes pleasure in wickedness, nor shall evil dwell with you. And David himself had no patience with those who were evil. The boastful shall not stand in your sight. You hate all workers of iniquity. As king, that also was the position that David took, as he saw the workers of iniquity. Iniquity is that word for sin, which is kind of sin of the heart. So those people who maybe say one thing but believe another, they think evil in their heart. You shall destroy those who speak falsehood. The Lord abhors the bloodthirsty and deceitful man. He as king took that same attitude. He was against those who were violent, those who were cheaters, those who told lies, those who worked iniquity in their hearts. But he did that because that's the attitude God takes towards such people. As for me, I will come to you into your house in the multitude of your mercy. He's not coming before God claiming that he has done anything great, that he deserves God's attention. He comes into God's house seeking God's mercy. He acknowledges God has all power. So those who come before David, if they come boasting about themselves, he's not very interested in them. But when they come relying on his mercy and asking him to intervene because they need his help, then they are the ones that he will help, just as God recognises those who come humbly before him. And he says, lead me, O Lord, in your righteousness because of my enemies. Make your way straight before my face. In other words, I come before you for mercy, Lord. I want you to show me the right way. He has decisions to make that affect people's lives, and may he make the right decision. There are those who would seek to trap him. He needs wisdom to discern those traps and to avoid them. He needs to be straightforward in the judgments he pronounces. So David comes before his God, seeking mercy and seeking guidance, just as a loyal subject would come before David, seeking David's mercy and seeking direction from David as to what David would have him to do. Well, he says, there is no faithfulness in their mouth, that is, in the mouth of the wicked. Their inward part is destruction. Their throat is an open tomb. They flatter with their tongue. Paul picks up on this phrase in Romans chapter 3 when he's talking about the total wickedness of men, and that we are inclined to speak evil. This is the character of man. No faithfulness, destruction, flattery, self-centeredness. And he says, pronounce them guilty, O God. Let them fall by their own counsels. Cast them out in the multitude of their transgressions, for they have rebelled against you. Every time we choose to do something that is contrary to God's counsel, we are going against God's will, and that is the way of destruction. And so we will fall when we take our own counsel rather than God's counsel. But that is rebellion against God. The wicked have that characteristic of rebellion against God. Well, that's one path, the way of destruction, to be cast out of his presence. But let all those rejoice who put their trust in you. The alternative is not to trust your own counsels, but to trust God, to obey God. And so those who put their trust in you, who rely on God to do the things that God does, let them ever shout for joy because you defend them. So the first thing that God does is defend. The first thing that the responsibility that the king has, is to defend his citizens, as God defends his children. Let those who love your name be joyful in you. For you, O Lord, will bless the righteous. With favour you shall surround him as with a shield. The Lord does protect our way. He watches over us and he cares for us. It is an assurance that the righteous have. So, which camp are you in, the wicked or the righteous? Do you rely on your own counsel, or are you coming before the Lord each morning to seek his mercy, to seek his direction, to seek his protection? In the morning you shall hear my voice, O Lord.